Hi, I'm Heidi Kaisand, National Sales Manager for APQS Long Arm Quilting Machines. I'm here at the International Quilt Market today with Sue Patton from Ontario, Canada.
That's right.
And Sue is an incredible quilt artist, and I wanted to talk with her today about her favorite features of our machines. Sue, what is it that you like about an APQS long arm machine?
Well, I like that I can do this on my APQS machine.
And can you explain to us exactly what it is you do with your quilts?
Absolutely. I like to take thread and literally paint my design onto a single piece of fabric. So I have a Freedom machine, and nice and light. I tuck myself in a stool right up front, legs underneath my bars, and off I go.
Great. And looks like you spend a lot of time thinking about how you're going to quilt this. Do you use a variety of threads?
I do. It's all about the color for me. It's not about the actual thread product. The machines are capable of running absolutely any thread on the market. So when I go and determine which threads I'm going to use, the only thing I'm calculating is color and thickness. The thicker and the brighter the color, the better the variegation, the more likely I am to choose the thread.
One of the things I always hear is that people are afraid of tension. Is tension your friend?
I have no issues with the tension. These machines literally will run anything from wire to string. And don't ask me how I know that.
Well, your quilts are absolutely beautiful. Is there anything about the machine that would be helpful for somebody who's looking for one to know? Is there a lot of quilting space available?
Okay, what you have on our machines literally is this bar right here. We have a bar that sits. So I know as an artist that when I'm sitting under the machine, I have from start to finish, anywhere on my quilt, this exact amount of quilting space. I never have to get up off that stool and walk around and adjust this back bar because my entire quilt will collect here as I roll it back and forth and back and forth. My foot pedal goes forward and reverse. On a piece like this, I might roll it back and forth in excess of 1,000 times, doing tiny little sections, filling in tiny little sections at a time. So for me, I can put the pedal right there. I can push it with my hand. I'm still sitting on my stool. And I know I have this specific amount of space. If I want a little more control, where I'm doing eyelashes or little pieces on my lip, I can come around. I can tighten up my wheelbase simply by adjusting a little tighter all the way around, and I have full control of my machine now. So no gizmos, no gadgets, just me and my machine.
That's wonderful. Any other details that you want to include?
You know, it's one of those things where I'm confident with my machine. I love the features of my machine, and it just works for me.
That's wonderful. What about the fact that we hear endlessly about the stitch regulator? Do you use a stitch regulator?
I actually do not use a stitch regulator. However, the stitch regulator on this machine is precise enough that you can literally stitch into a corner and stop and stitch out of that corner and have identical stitches, both coming in and coming out. Mm-hmm. You can go very, very quickly. I like to go high speed. I like to get there real quick. It hits that corner every single time with the stitch regulator.
That's great. Well, it's really been fun talking to Sue. It's an incredible piece of art, and I think what's exciting about quilting is that we see a variety of quilt makers. Absolutely. Everything from the art quilt person to the traditional quilter. And next I'm going to talk with Marianne Fonz, who is a very well-known traditional quilter. Hi, I'm Heidi Kaisand, National Sales Manager at APQS. I'm here today at the International Quilt Market, and I have the wonderful opportunity to talk to Marianne Fonz.
Hi, Heidi.
It's been a wonderful time for Marianne. She's been celebrating more than 25 years of quilting, and as the co-editor-in-chief of Love of Quilting, she has a lot of experience quilting. But I think what's really exciting about the quilt world is that there is always something new and different to try, and Marianne has taken up long arm quilting, and I think it's fabulous. So tell us, what is your first reaction to being able to long arm quilt?
Well, I have made many quilts over the years, and Liz and I have pretty much always sent our quilts out to other people to quilt, whether hand quilting, long arm machine quilting, or sometimes domestic home sewing machine quilting, because our quilts were being prepared for publication and we had to speed things up. So it's been so fantastic for me to learn a skill myself so I can make a quilt top, put it in the long arm machine, and I usually, when I quilt, I just quilt a few hours a day, and within a few days my quilt is completed and I can say I made it all myself. So it's just exciting to have that completion. It's the completion that just thrills me every time it happens. In fact, I've run through most of my quilt tops, so I'm actually hunting around among our staff. If you got a quilt that I can quilt, I'll do it for free if you're okay that it's, not like, award-winning work.
Well, it is really exciting to have that accomplishment feeling of getting a quilt done. Is there any particular feature that, as you've started and you're learning how to use the long arm, that you're thinking is just a great feature of our machines?
There's so many, but of course the stitch regulation. If that feature wasn't there, I'd probably be a little intimidated. But I know that I can set it on 11 stitches per inch, and no matter how fast or slow I move the machine, I stop, I go, I know that the stitching is going to be consistent. But I'm getting a little better. I say I'm an intermediate now because a couple of times I've forgotten to put the regulator on, and it looked really good. So I know the day is coming when I can actually use it or not use it and feel confident that my quilting is going to look good.
I guess we could kind of consider the stitch regulator maybe training wheels, and it makes it feel safe that you can get regular stitches, but you can certainly use the non-stitch regulator someday too.
Yeah, I have big hopes, that I'm going to get really, really good one of these days.
Very good. And have you ever had any trouble? Have you ever had to make a mistake and
Yes.
deal with that?
Yes, because I'm an beginner intermediate, and I thought I was so clever when I came up with this tip that when I do have to get out my seam ripper and take something out I'm not satisfied with, I found I was having a little trouble. I'm like, I'm going to bring the machine head close to me, and the light is so great I can see to get the stitches out without poking my fabric. So that's just kind of a little, added tip. And I'm sure no matter how accomplished a quilter is, there are going to be times that you need to kind of redo something. So that's a great feature.
That is a wonderful feature, and it's great that you're getting excited, and I bet you won't be pulling out many stitches in the future.
I'm getting better all the time.
Well, Marianne, it's been really exciting talking to you about your new endeavors into long arm quilting, and I think it's very inspiring for you to be able to show quilters out there that these machines aren't just for art quilters.
Oh, no.
Although Sue's quilts are beautiful, they are for making traditional quilts that so
yes.
many of us are doing.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I have found that I'm just passionate about it. I love working on the machine. And our machine is in our retail store. And so when customers come in, I get to talk to them, I get to show them, and I can actually talk and quilt at the same time now, which I couldn't do at first. So
That's great. It sounds like you're getting very versatile with the machine.
I am.
Well, we hope that everybody has learned something about the APQS long arm quilting machine. And the next time you have the opportunity to test drive one, take it because it's a great ride. Coming to you from the International Quilt Market in Houston, Texas. Hope you have a great day quilting.